Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back again to the Pyro podcast. And today it's such an amazing day. I have a guest with me. I have a brother, and more or less, I can just say like ni msee wa ndani kabisa ile mbaya sana. So leo tunataka tukuwe na discussion kidogo about something which is very critical to us in this age and the era where we are having many suicidal cases and many issues concerning relationships, especially for the boy child. The boy child kuna venye anapitia na it's becoming an issue, especially for the men. We find that many ladies they have somebody to talk to, but then for the boy child, the only person they can talk to is to God. That's why they commit suicide maybe. So leo tuko hapa hivi na msee wangu hapa wa power sana, na nitampea time as introduce and you can tell us something which is so interesting about you as we enter into this discussion.
For my name is I go by the name Warukenya, or you can just call me Shell. That's what I'm commonly known for. I think when it comes to a funny fact about me is, whenever I'm in a social place or in a crowded place, you just have to know me just by how I laugh or something and how I normally articulate myself. So I think that's one thing that stands out among many people. So I can say that's like one thing that normally makes me to stand out.
Interesting. Yeah. So Insta page unafanyanga for fun ama umejifunza ama ni stuff ulizaliwa nayo?
Okay, this has always been me. And actually it's not that it's something that I've trained myself or I've learned it to be like my second nature. So it's where like you just find yourself, you're like that. Yeah.
Amazing.
It's kind of, I ask you, why are you always maybe brief or something of that sort?
Brief, you mean short?
That's it.
Well, hiyo ni mbaya. Hiyo ni body shaming mse. You know, inafanya mse feel like you're questioning my God. You know, I'm just like God. Don't you think? I'm a Christian and I believe in the same stuff. Yeah, I was created in the image of God, so I just know like God is short like me. You know.
Maybe I tend to feel like you're kind of justifying yourself. I normally believe you just have to work with what we have. You just work with what you have. If I'm this height, yes, there is nothing I can do it.
Exactly.
If you actually make fun of it, I'm gonna turn the tables and actually make more fun of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing. One thing to learn over there: accept yourself, mazi.
Just the way you are.
You can't change it. Yeah, if you belong to this height of 5'4" like me, just be happy about it. Na kila kitu itakuwa tu fiti. So, Warukenya, welcome to the show, and it's an interesting day. So, technically what we're going to start to do as we keep this stuff rolling is that we have some questions tutazihandle, and after handling the questions, then we can discuss a little bit about what is the state of the nation technically when it comes to the side of mental health, which is very critical. So I'll give you the honor. Wendo mgeni hapa hivi, wageni ndo wanazanga ball. So yeah, you have some questions over there. You can pick one and then you read out the question and then you answer and then I'll chip in.
It's okay.
Good.
Let me see what I got here. Okay. These are very good question. Actually, the question is how do you stay resilient in the face of adversity? In the face of adversity, this is where maybe you tend to feel like your life is tending to south. This is where you tend to feel like you have reached to a point and you feel like I don't have energy to do this anymore. You tend to feel as if on your end things are going south, canoe is capsizing on your end, and you tend to feel as if you don't have that energy. But maybe to keep it short, how I normally do it for myself is the people I normally surround myself with. I'm this one kind of a person. If I'm in such a mood where I'm down and I mean like I'm down, I will try and find out someone who we can try to resonate, or someone who can give me some energy. Also, I tend to feel the kind of content I consume at that very moment. I'm one person when I'm going through such moments of my life. I'm one person who will go to YouTube channels. You'll get to hear what people have got to say concerning the same situation you are in. Yeah, and at the end of the day, you come there when you feel motivated. You actually sometimes you gotta listen to someone and you are like, if they are able to do it, I can do it.
Sure.
Also maybe the other thing I normally do, maybe when I'm having all these kind of things stuck in my mind, I normally do journaling. Yeah, I do write a lot and like I mean it. So there was a time I could write, maybe when I'm going through my notebook and I will be like, oh god, right now I may tend to feel as if I'm having the darkest moment of my life. But if I was able to face that which was earlier and I did wrote it down, and actually I'm like, if I was able to do it then, I can also be able to do it right now.
Exactly.
Why not now? So like I feel journaling is one of the best ways to relieve your mind. Because also I also tend to feel journaling, how I normally tend to view it in a personal view is, you can be pretty sure your secrets are safe. For us, man, we don't wanna maybe go telling everyone, maybe unless you're G's or something of that sort. So maybe when your G's are not around you, maybe you can do a lot of writing and you can be pretty sure the book won't snitch on you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you can be pretty sure the pages will be humble on you. They will not be questioning you. Like, even if your mind is not at clarity at that moment, maybe you may be having a conversation with someone and maybe that person is like, you actually don't even understand what you're going through.
Yeah.
Like, so they tend to kind of question how you feel and how you react. But the moment I'm writing down on paper, you can be pretty sure the paper will be humble on you.
And it won't judge you.
Yeah, the paper won't judge you. You are pretty sure your secrets are safe.
Interesting, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. For my side, actually, what I tend to do when I'm in that rock bottom state, there was one thing that I was taught by my late grandfather, thinking positive through a situation. So technically, when you go in that state, I tend to look at the positive side of it. So I've been in situations when nimekuwa so low, and maybe I was suicidal at that point. But one thing I was looking was the positive side of it. Naangalia zile goals zenye ziko mbele, manze naona nyanya sasa nikikufa kuna vitu nitamiss. Na get. Naangalia mamuri wangu, dreams tumekuwa nazo kwa sako, tunaweza tuseme us driving somewhere, us flying somewhere, and then I'm like, so 5 years from now nitakuwa nisharot. Na get. Na sitakuwa na enjoy hizo stuff. So I like to find the positive out of a situation. Like, I don't look on the negative side. So if it is, for example, an heartbreak, maybe I take it as a lesson and then I move on. After moving on, maybe I'm this person who thinks like Mungu akona reason. Unaget, nikiatbreakiwa leo ni kama next time sasa ndo napata the better, and it has always worked that way. So I think of the positive rather than the negative.
Actually, on that note, there is this guy I normally like following around up on him. The guy is called Lion Holiday. And on Holiday, we always say like life will always have two handles. You always have the smooth handle, you always have the rough handle. Life will always have a positive way of looking at it or a negative way of looking at it. So it's up to you to make a decision, which where do I go with. It's up to you to decide if I'm gonna do something that is positive or I'm gonna do something that is negative. And actually, if you get to really reflect on those words, like they are really powerful, because it actually shows it's up to you. It's up to you. In as much as I feel like now I'm in the worst moment of my life, but do I continue being in that situation and staying like no one is there to save me? You just have to have that positive mindset, and you just always choose the positive handle. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so I'll go on and pick the second question. Alafu tuone. So yeah. Okay, this is like a wide question, but then it goes like, what do you think are the ways we should navigate conflicts in relationships? So one thing I do believe when it comes to relationships and conflicts, I believe in one thing we call communication. So technically, I'm this one guy meaning there's nothing that can be solved, especially when it comes to a relationship. This is a person you have slept with, this is a person you have been with, and this is a person you have been bonded with. So ni kama uniambia ati mkiwa na conflict na mzazi, you can resolve to parting ways. You can't part with your parent. You just have to be there and solve the issue. So I think communication works at all ways, and one thing I don't believe is solving a conflict by sex. I don't believe in such. Yes, you can use sex to solve a conflict, but then at the end of the day haisaidii. Hiyo issue bado itakuwa inajirudia na hata mtakuwa mmesameheana, una get. So I believe kama umekuwa na issue, just call your partner, maybe go on a date somewhere, sit somewhere, place yenye iko tu fiti, haina interruption, and then you talk, wife to husband, man to lady, whatever it is, whatever relationship you have with that person, alafu mtaisolve. So personally, me, I do believe in communication. Yes.
Okay, maybe on my end, I wouldn't like really limit it in maybe a specific kind of a relationship. I would tackle it in a general manner. First, what we just have to accept is this life, and within life you'll always have conflicts of interest.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we'll just have to sit down and to really ask ourselves, what do we really want among ourselves in this kind of a relationship, be it maybe a parent-child relationship, be it any other relationship you can think of. At the end of the day, you just have to sit down, you just have to see who went wrong. If I'm the one who did maybe wrong on you, I mean, just have to come and say, you know what, G, you know what, bro, you know what, dad, you know what, mom, you know what, I did this, and yeah, actually I've reflected on that, and I didn't do the right thing. So I think it comes to a point where you just have to get to have the conversation, because at the end of the day, if you are to break up or split with the person each and every other time you have a conflict, then at the end of the day you'll always be alone, because this life, and in life you'll always have those disputes up and down. Yeah,
for sure. Interesting. I think it's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Okay, let me see what we got here. How best can you advise someone to go for therapy, counseling when they don't want to? Wow. Well, these are very tricky questions. And okay, how best can you advise someone to go for therapy, counseling when they don't want to? I don't know whether maybe to rephrase the question in a way, but or also to tackle it the way direct it is. But I tend to think one thing we need to appreciate when it comes to counseling and therapy sessions, it must be out of willingness. It's up to, so mainly what you can do at that very moment, there is something you normally call, you just create aware. Maybe some people, they are just reluctant.
Yeah.
They are just reluctant. Maybe some people know they are going through something, and maybe they don't want to talk, they don't want to seek out for help. But what you can do at that moment is maybe you can try to open up the eyes and actually try to let them see, like, maybe if you do this can help, or maybe try and listen it with them, try to do maybe kind of the pros and cons kind of diagram or something of that. I don't know, maybe you do the pros and the cons. If right now you have to go to a therapy, what is it that you are going to gain from that? So you do both the merit and the demerit. So at the end of the day, you just try and create awareness. You guys try to tell this person, if we get to do this, maybe you're gonna be helped. But you can't really force. I normally believe you can't really force someone maybe to go for a therapy session. But what you can do, the least you can do, is just try to open up the eyes and just to create that awareness that maybe if you tried it out, you never know, maybe it may work, it may not, but you just give your shot. Yeah.
Amazing. So to add on that, one thing I do believe when it comes to therapy is acceptance. Yeah. Denial is the most stuff in inasumbua. So one thing, you just have to be in that acceptance, like, I have a problem and I need to be helped. It's only at that point when you necessarily, but then if you haven't reached that point, then it becomes a challenge, because that's where now you come in. you help the person to gain the insight of the problem they're going through, and then it helped them. So that's what I think. I think you've answered it and you've tackled it in a best way. Now I'll go on and take on the next question. Wow. What are some of the red flags we should watch out for that could indicate potential mental unwellness in relationships? Exactly. Or I think in a general aspect, red flags that we should watch out for. When we talk about red flags in a relationship, for example, in a relationship setting, that could indicate potential mental unwellness, things that can lead you into maybe full depression because of a relationship and other things. I think this is a wide topic, and one thing you just have to do is to understand your partner and just be at that position, and you can notice that this person is changing. There's changes in the dynamics of the relationship, and once those changes start to come, I think that's a red flag. Because if you used to do this and now you don't do this stuff, then it is causing an alarm, and that's a red flag. So to answer this question, some of the red flags, I think there are many red flags in perspective to the specific relationship. They're not general red flags. For example, if the person used to call you 7 times a week, that is daily, for the 7 days, and then nowadays he doesn't call you the 7 times, he calls you, and then after maybe 3-4 days then he calls again, then to me that's a red flag. The change in the dynamic. But then if the person used to call you once in a while and they're still calling you once in a while, your situation is not the same as the first situation. So I think they are respective, they are relative to every relationship, and just have to watch for what is changing in the dynamic. What do you think?
Okay, maybe what I can mention concerning the red flags. Okay, for the red flags in that situation, maybe this can be maybe the signs and the symptoms that maybe someone is not, maybe okay or something of that sort in that context. Maybe what I can think of at the moment is maybe when you used to hang out with this person, and out of nowhere, this person, maybe the things that used to interest him or her are no longer interesting. This is why you kind of tend to find maybe a friend who maybe on weekends you'd go maybe on bike rides, you go on hikes, but all of a sudden this person is not showing up for the event. This person has already started showing the social withdrawals. Actually, that's one of the symptoms where someone actually gets to withdraw himself from the social connection that he or she used to be. So maybe where you can find someone, maybe this person used to be outgoing, this person used to be extroverted, but all of a sudden this person is always indoors, this person is introverted, and maybe person is not interested in doing things that used to interest him on your own. That can be a huge red flag. That can be a huge red flag that you actually need to check on your friend, because you never know what is going on, and the time you are realizing it might be too late. So maybe when you are seeing someone is having social withdrawals, that's of a great concern. You should maybe reach out and maybe get to hear from them.
Amazing. It's your turn.
Oh, well, I don't think I would have been the best person to tackle this question though. Your view on childhood trauma in relationships downfall. Wow. Your view in childhood trauma in relationships downfall. Wow. Childhood trauma. When we talk of childhood trauma, these are the things that happened when we were young, and actually they got to influence us maybe later on to who we are today. I will give an example. Maybe you are brought up in a family where, like, you are many of you. Maybe you had maybe 10 siblings or such. So like maybe also you are coming maybe not from a well-off background. So at that moment there was limited resources. So like your whole damn life you have been brought up in scarcity.
Yeah, sure.
So like that has always triggered you in some way. You had always to do all these stuff, maybe to try and sustain yourself. Maybe you had to go out to check out for some jobs here and there. Maybe to make the matters worse, maybe you are the firstborn. So in one way or another, you had to be checking up on your younger siblings. You're the one who's got to check out some food, some resources here, so that you can get to boost them. So maybe how I can try and relate that to the downfall of relationships. This is where, okay, let me first of all give another example. Another example of maybe when you are young and your parent died as you are growing up, and maybe you end up being an orphan.
Sure.
That itself is such a huge childhood trauma that has a lot of manifestation in your life actually as you grow up. So when it have reached to a point, all that time you have never had someone to give you that love. So from the word go, you have never actually learned to love yourself.
For sure.
Because you are never taught or never had someone to show to you what love is.
Yeah.
What love. So it reached to a point where maybe you are grown up, you have not maybe done your temperaments test, you have not done all those personality tests, you have not done any self-awareness, and you have not done any maybe counseling therapy to try and help you move from that. So it reached to a point now you are old enough, and maybe you tend to go maybe into dating or something of that sort, maybe when you are 18 years of age. At this moment, what will be happening is, when you are coming into a relationship with this other person, there is always that void. So you'll always be hoping, or always depending on the affirmation and the love that you are being given by this other person.
Yes.
So there is no single point in your life you'll ever come and be independent. You'll always be on the literary end, on the latter end, always waiting for people to love you. And maybe when some people don't love you, you kind of maybe tend to have self-esteem issues. For sure, like that has been key and rampant in most people. These were actually I'm saying, maybe if person never had that love, and this actually person have not gone all those healing processes, maybe trying to reaching out to a therapist, a counselor, or something of that school, that actually works. So it will always reach to a point where this person will always dependent on their partners for validation and affirmation. So at that moment, when this other person is not there, the person who has now had the child trauma will always feel lonely and always require the validation from other people. And actually that's issue normally also comes around with issues to do with like emotional instability. This where if this person is used to be validated by this person, maybe for a certain period of time the person to validate her or him is not around, this person will go to another person who is around at the moment to validate him or her, and that's what can lead to maybe some cheating or something of that, just because maybe the person who was to validate me at that moment is no longer around there, and I need that validation. I need someone to tell me it will be okay, something of that sort. So we don't really find that they always go with who is around at the moment, and are always carried up by emotions, and it's actually very, very hard for them to be loyal. And actually, as I'm answering the question, that actually lead to the downfall. Why? Because I'm one person who always want that validation, and maybe the person who always validate me, maybe my partner or something of that sort, is not there at the moment. I will go to the nearest person to do the same, to fill the void in me. And actually that will bring a lot of conflict, and actually later on can bring around cheating or something of that, and maybe leading to break up. Yeah,
for sure. So talking of the same stuff, it's actually very amazing that we're discussing this issue at this point in time. I read a book by Benjamin Zulu, The Healing Your Inner Self.
Healing Your Inner Self to Commence Your Best Life. For
a very, very, very interesting book. A very interesting book. Actually, just around 170, 160 something pages, but then very informative and very, very, very helpful. So it was very critical. Actually, he dedicated his time to discuss the whole trauma. And one of the things that we have to understand is that this trauma it doesn't have to become necessarily from maybe you losing a parent. You being raised by a single mother is an issue also, because one of the very, very key fundamental principles that guide love is trust. So if you're this person when you mereciwa na a single parent, and maybe your mom or your dad raised you in such a way to believe like the other party is not a good person to trust. So technically, in a way, in your defense mechanism, utakuwa nadhani you're being defensive, yes, but it's the trauma that you have gone through. Ulikuwa hapo hivyo when your mother was being mistreated. Ulikuwa hapo when your father was being mistreated. Ulikuwa hapo wakidivorce. And there are many other issues that comes along. And any moment when you're in a relationship and you don't have trust, you don't have, maybe you were raised in this the alpha generation, and the strong ladies who don't have respect for the other party, maybe for the men or for the ladies, it becomes a challenge, because at the end of the day you can't sustain a relationship, and that's a pure downfall. So what I can advise you is that one of the things you have to understand is that you can't form a good relationship if you have any childhood trauma issues and whatever it is. Just find a therapist, find somebody to talk to, and maybe reconfigure yourself, heal your inner self. Better yet, you can find that book and you can read it. Maybe it can help you to give you some more insights on the same stuff. So a disclaimer again, this is not like, I'm not advertising the book, yes, but then it's a good book that I can recommend for anybody or anyone, even if you don't have childhood trauma issues, to go and find the book and read. So it is very critical for any relationship to sustain trauma issues. You have to be mentally stable, and you have to have you have to be present. That's what I'm just trying to say. You have to be present, and you don't have to have any other issues luring you into the issue. So I think it's my time, right?
And maybe for a minute, maybe to add something of that sort. For the trauma, this is something that maybe it can be childhood, maybe you got to have the trauma in your primary school, maybe you went into a high school where you are bullied, maybe from there you had the low self-esteem, maybe from there you went to a campus and all these things. Maybe along the way maybe you are rejected by some girl, maybe by some boy or something of that sort. And so trauma is a whole other topic on itself, and it's something that is actually really eating a lot of people right now, because most people have not done the self-awareness test and all that. They have not actually reflected on their life and actually to be able to know the reason as to why I behave in a certain way is because this and this happened. But the moment you're able to kind of relax your mind, reflect the reason as to why maybe this has been happening in this way, you can actually be able to point, you can actually be able to point and say, this is where my problem started. Yeah.
Interesting. So my question goes, a very interesting question. Is meditation worth learning? Part 1. Part 2. How best can we employ it as comrades? Very interesting.
So this comrade or meditate, man.
This is a message to the comrade. Unakumbuka hiyo clip ya sijui eti comrade unawaona, unaweza dhani wanasinzia kumbe wanainama. That is meditation of its own.
Inama is really manzi.
I think kuinama is a part of meditation. Though we misuse it because we don't take that time to reflect on ourselves, but rather than hiyo time tunachukuanga tunaanza kujiangalia why our parents were not working so hard like other people's parents.
But at the end of the day,
it is very critical. So is meditation, is it worth learning? I think it's very critical, especially being in the point and age where kuna mental health issues. It's very critical. So one of the things zenye zinakuwa very critical, we had sometime I had some Canadian teach me something on meditating, and it was very interesting. So one of the very critical stuff zenye unafaa kuelewa ni hii stuff si ufala. Unaget? Yeah, kuna
wengi wetu tumekwama hapo because actually even me myself maybe I don't know I have never practiced it like for real ile day pray ile maybe on maybe juju. I've never like actually being granular on it, like going into depth. I've always done it maybe superficially or something of that sort, but yeah, I don't know, mi naonanga sometimes inaweza work, inaweza but something I've never tried. Mi naonanga hiyo ndo jaba kabisa, ni hizi sijui nini za wapi hizo nini vitu zingine naonanga ni ufala man, but sijui maybe I will try it one day and maybe to see whether it works. The yoga and such,
you know, if you have ever been to a therapist, you can feel what I want to talk about. Meditation technically is something yenye mtu akikuona ukifanya I make sense, unaget
na kaupuzi na kaufanya.
Na listening to music is a part of meditation, but it's not purely meditation, unaget. Most of the ladies think like if I play some slow pop songs, maybe sad songs after a strong heartbreak, I'm meditating.
Na watu kwanza wako na ufala man, uko na depression alafu unaenda kusikiza Billie Eilish. Wacha mchezo man.
It doesn't work.
Sasa ngoma itakuchangamsha man. There is no way you can be going through sad moment
and bado unataka the same sad songs
it's over like, and over again.
Adding salt to injury kind of thing na I working. So meditation what technically encompass ni that the main aim ya meditation ni self reflection. You sitting in a moment yenye hauna undivided attention to your heart, and then you listen to your mind, and then you focus. No. So kama uko na kale ka stress kana kusumbua, ni kama uko zile za like kuna reflect unajiuliza why 1 2 1 2 1 2, and then ni kama inasaidia ku refreshen, just like running. Kuna watu wanasema gym ni kumeditate, though inataka exercise, una get though inakwanga jaba kiplani, but then ina work. Now how can we employing it as comrades takuwa ngumu.
maybe for the meditation, maybe how say maybe to replace it with maybe where you can say of self reflection, because when you say self reflection doesn't come with that magnitude as compared to meditating. You know, when you mention of meditating, we think of I don't know yoga, I don't know what, pressing you what in your 90 degrees, all those stuff, and
7 mantras and the rest of those stuff.
You open your third eye.
It's a whole stuff.
Inakuwa ni normal.
But if you have the energy and the effort, go to YouTube, find how to meditate. Trust me, you learn, and after you have learned, maybe just contact me. We come into this podcast, you share with us, we learn. At the end of the day, it's learning, which is very key. Sindio?
Utuambie jambo ulipata, utupigie kidogo hapa 1 2.
Juu meditation, especially okay, I don't want to say there's no meditation in Kenya, but third world countries, we are suffering. Meditation is very tough for us. We don't have time, you know. But anyway, story for another day. If you can learn meditation, just talk to me, link up with me, and then you can come and teach us. Okay, you can close the questions.
I think maybe I can take question. My actually this is the last question.
Yeah, the last question.
Oh wow. Self-reflection on therapy.
What will you go for?
I think at the moment it will depend with maybe the magnitude of the situation I am in. Maybe it's something that is so intense, something that can make me feel like I'm dying the next minute, or I don't have any more courage, because at that moment I would prefer maybe you can seek out to a therapy or something of that sort, because actually that's where you get to converse with someone, that's where you get to seek a professional, someone who has graduated in that field, and actually at that moment if it's intense. So I think at this moment it will depend to what degree and to what situation and circumstance you are in at the moment. So if it's something that is not that much, maybe you can opt to go for the self-reflection. There are different ways of self-reflection. This is where you can just decide, maybe you go maybe for a walk, doing just walking and trying to think around your life, or you can just take a book and a pen, you just start writing out your mind, you just try to that thing that you feel as if it's holding you back, you just write it down. You can just do that's for the thing that so intense, but it leads to a point where you feel like you want to kill yourself or something of that sort. I would actually urge you to maybe speak to someone. It doesn't necessarily have to be, since you are at the moment where at a comrade, si bado ni ma comrade, si expect like you have a lot of gist maybe to go and kuongea na therapist or something of that sort, because at the end of the day for you to talk to a therapist, huyo msee ameinvest time yake hapo. So like at that moment it doesn't necessarily have to be a therapist. You can call one of your friend, maybe mujaribu kuongea. And actually I've seen one of my friend doing this. Each and every other time he has a lot of stuff going in his end, he always call his childhood friends.
Wow.
The guy will just buy some minutes or something of that sort, and he will call primary school friends and high school friends to just try and recall the stuff they used to do together. Sijui what, when you were kids you used to do this, if you can recall, tukienda kucheza futa. Just some sort of such stories, at least zinafanya zinamrelieve. At that moment hujaenda kwa therapist as per se, but at least you have find someone who you can talk to. Maybe msi anaweza kukumbusha pale umetoka, because actually sometimes when you tend to lose hope just because maybe at the time you tend to forget where we are coming from. And actually when you get to reflect and you get to tell yourself, I've not come all the way to give up now. I just have to do it. At the end of the day, it's up to you. You either give results or reasons. So the moment you're able to reflect, the moment you're able maybe to talk with your childhood friend, they can be able to remind you of the dreams and the goals you had together. At least that can be a push button for you. It can make you to be more focused at that moment. It can make you to actually to relieve all those things, and you actually tell yourself you can do this.
Interesting. Well put, by the way. I love the point when you mentioned the magnitude. Magnitude actually dictates it. So personally, I've never believed in therapy until I attended one. And niligrowing nikiambiwa
usifunguke roho man.
Nikimagine like therapy is that place when unaingia, alafu this person anakuambia close your eyes, now imagine you're falling from the moon. And but then I happened to attend one therapy session with a friend mwenye alikuwa anafanya therapy, yes, but then sasa ni kama alikuwa ananitumia ku practice, right? Ile yenye ni kama mseni artist but anakuja kukutest usikie kama ameiva. Unaget? And then ndo nikapata a deeper insight on therapy. Actually therapy, you can't get the magnitude of therapy until you go to one. Na ni stuff yenye naweza recommend mse, like kama uko na issue na kusumbua, you'd find a therapist. But then kama una do, venye Warukenya amesema, one of the very basic things ni ati no institution you can ever go to ukose social workers, and no institution unaweza enda ukose pia counselors. Talk to those people. Better yet, kama unaogopa, because in this world one thing you have to accept is that you will tell me and I'll tell you, I won't judge you, but at the end of the day nitakujudge na nilenye siwezi kuambia. So kama unaogopa that judgment, then find that G mwenye anakuelewa, ama the person mwenye ameona the worst than yenye una go through sahi. Talk to that person, and at the end of the day, sometimes you have to sacrifice one thing for you to get another thing. Sacrifice your ego, and at the end of the day utakuwa umesaidika. Juu ukikaa na ego ati manzi story yangu siwezi share out, at the end of the day utakuwa una lose. So that's one thing and advice mse, just find something and do that something very well. I think this has been an interesting session manze. Sijui uko na kitu yenye unaweza fungia.
Maybe as we culminate this, maybe what I would like to say is there has been a lot of myths around counseling, therapists and all that, but as we are saying, you'll never get to really understand something unless you get to try it. Because actually I myself, I had to go for quite a number of therapies, not minimum of 10. And actually when you actually get to be at that moment where you are with that therapist, you get to reflect back, to some extent you are being given some assignments or something of that sort. Go write this about yourself, and then as you write down, actually your mind is unlocked in a way. You get to look life in a different perspective that you have never thought of. So I would say that's something to recommend. In as much as in the third world countries and mostly in the African country, we have not embraced this culture.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, this is a whole new way of medication. Yeah. So try it out. Yeah.
Amazing. So wadau, kama umefika this point and you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, consider subscribing, like the video, and above all, do me that favor, share, and it would mean a world to me if you leave a comment in the comment section. It is very interesting na inasaidianga channel to grow. Hello guys, now we have come to the end of this session. This is part 1 of the session. I'll see you in the second part. Watch out for the second part. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic, and I hope you're going to learn, because what we do in this session, we learn, and above all, we talk to us, because it is who are learning and it's us who are affected. I'll see you in the episode 2 or the part 2 of this conversation that we're having with my brother Warukenya.